Someone's outside. The man outside my window. It started with the knocking. Not loud, not frantic, just soft, deliberate knocks, 3 of them, against the living room window. It was almost midnight. I was half asleep on the couch, scrolling through my phone, the TV murmuring quietly in the background. Outside, the night was still. My house sits right on the edge of the woods. No neighbors for at least a kilometer, no street lights, just darkness and the whisper of trees swaying in the wind. When I first heard it, I froze. It was so faint that I thought I might have imagined it. But then it came again. Knock, knock, knock. Slow, careful, almost polite. A chill spread through my chest. I turned the TV volume down and listened. The sound wasn't coming from the front door. It was the side window, the one that faces the woods. I tried to see outside, but the reflection of the room on the glass made it impossible. Beyond the faint glow of the porch light was nothing but blackness. "Hello?" I called out. My voice cracked a little. "Who's there?" No answer, just silence. Then something moved. At first it was just a faint shape between the trees, a tall outline, still watching. My stomach dropped. My first thought was, it's a person, maybe someone lost, maybe drunk, maybe worse. I took a slow step closer to the window. The figure didn't move. It just stood there, head tilted slightly, like it was studying me. I swallowed hard and reached for my phone. When I looked back, it was gone. I backed away from the glass, heart hammering. My hands were shaking so badly that I almost dropped my phone trying to dial. The line didn't connect, no signal. Of course, out here, reception was always terrible. I cursed under my breath and ran from window to window, checking locks, closing blinds, trying to convince myself it was just some stranger passing through. Then I saw them. Handprints. On the glass of the kitchen window. Big ones. Fresh, smeared, sliding down the pane like someone had pressed their palms there and dragged them slowly downward. I whispered to myself, "Oh God." That's when the power went out. The lights blinked once and died. The TV went black. The refrigerator went silent. Even the clock on the wall stopped ticking. The only sound left was my breathing and the faint creak of wood from the back porch. Someone was walking outside. Creak. Pause. Creak. The boards groaned under every slow step. I grabbed my flashlight from the drawer and aimed it at the back door. The beam trembled as badly as my hand did. Then I saw him. He was standing just outside the glass door, pressed close enough that I could see the fog of his breath. His skin was pale, gray almost, and stretched too tight over his skull. His smile was wide and wrong. His lips split at the corners, showing too many teeth. His eyes didn't reflect the light. They just swallowed it, like 2 holes burned into his face. He tilted his head slowly, like he was curious. Then he knocked. Once, twice, 3 times. "Let me in." His voice was soft, almost gentle, but every word made my skin crawl. I stumbled back, tripping over the coffee table, flashlight clattering to the floor. The beam rolled across the walls, catching flashes of the man's face. Too close now, mouth still moving even when no sound came out. I ran. I don't remember how. I locked myself in the bathroom and turned off the light. The house went dead quiet, but I could hear him moving. The sound of footsteps circling the house, fingers brushing the windows, slow scraping sounds across the walls. Then, whispering. It started on one side of the house and moved to the other, following me. His voice changed. It wasn't just one anymore. There were 2, 3, maybe more. all whispering the same thing in perfect unison. "I can see you." My chest seized. I pressed my hands over my ears, trying to block it out. Then the doorknob rattled. Once, twice, then silence again. I stayed there until morning. When I finally opened the door, sunlight spilled into the hall. Everything looked normal. Too normal. But every window in the house had something new. Fingerprints. Hundreds of them. Some on the outside, some inside. And written across the front door, drawn into the thin layer of condensation, were 3 words: "See you tonight." That night I didn't sleep. I sat awake on the couch with every light on, watching the window. But around midnight the power went out again. And before I could even stand up, knock, knock, knock. The knock that wouldn't stop. It started with a knock, just one, soft and deliberate. I remember the sound because it cut through the quiet like a blade. The house was still. The only light came from the TV, flashing faint blue and white across my living room walls. It was 12:43 a.m. I lived alone, on a dead-end road surrounded by trees, so the sound didn't belong. It shouldn't have been there. At first, I thought I imagined it. Maybe the house settling or branches tapping against the siding. But then it came again. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow, evenly spaced knocks. Whoever it was didn't seem in a hurry. I muted the TV and just listened. The silence after the knocks was worse. It stretched too long, pressing in on me, heavy and expectant. My mind raced through possibilities. A lost driver, a delivery mistake, a prank. But deep down, something inside me whispered, "No one should be here." I stood and crept toward the window beside the door. My hand hovered over the curtain. I hesitated. Every instinct screamed at me not to look, but I couldn't help it. Curiosity and fear tangled together until I gently pulled the curtain just an inch. The porch was empty. The weak bulb above the door cast a pale pool of light that barely reached the first step. Beyond that was only darkness, a deep, suffocating black that swallowed the yard and the trees behind it. I squinted, trying to focus. For a moment, I was sure I saw something move, a faint shift at the edge of the light. Someone was standing just beyond it, still, watching. I couldn't see their face, couldn't even tell if they were facing me. It was just a shape, tall, motionless, like a shadow that didn't belong to anything real. "Hello," I called out, voice shaking. Nothing. Then the knocking started again, louder this time. Knock, knock, knock. I stumbled back, my chest tightening. Whoever it was, they were right up against the door now. I could hear the wood creak with each hit. I grabbed my phone from the counter, nearly dropping it as I dialed 000. Before I could even press call, the knocking stopped. Silence again. I stood there, holding my breath, listening. The house felt alive, every tiny sound amplified. The ticking clock, the hum of the refrigerator, my own heartbeat. I inched forward and looked through the curtain again. The porch was empty. The shadow was gone. That's when I heard it, a single step on the gravel outside. Then another, slow, crunching, moving around the side of the house. I ran to the back door, flicking on every light I passed. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely get the lock to turn. I pressed my face to the back window. Nothing but my own reflection staring back. Then came the sound that made my stomach twist, the back door handle jiggling. I froze. The handle turned once, twice, slowly, testing the lock. I didn't breathe, didn't move. The metallic click echoed like thunder in my ears. I backed away, grabbed the kitchen knife from the counter, and slipped into my bedroom, locking the door behind me. My hands were slick with sweat. I crouched behind the bed, staring at the faint strip of light under the door. And then, footsteps. They were inside the house. I swear I heard the soft creak of the hallway floorboards, one at a time, deliberate, slow. My lungs burned from holding my breath. I texted my neighbor with shaking fingers. "Someone's in my house. Please call the police." No reply. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. The silence stretched on forever. Then, the faintest scrape. Something dragging across the wood. A fingernail. A key. I could hear it tracing the outline of the doorframe. Tears welled in my eyes. My throat ached from holding back sound. And then, like nothing happened, the sound stopped. Just gone. I don't know how long I waited before the sirens came. Maybe 20 minutes. Maybe 2 hours. When the police arrived, the door was still locked, every window intact. No sign of a break-in. But on the glass of the back door, there was something, a faint, greasy smear, a handprint. But the fingers were too long, too thin, stretching down past where a normal hand should have ended. They told me it was probably smudged by the light. Maybe an old print. I wanted to believe them. That night, I couldn't sleep. I left every light on, the knife still in my hand. Sometime around 3, I must have dozed off. And when I woke up, there was a sound. Knock, 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 coming from my bedroom window. Someone's outside. It started around midnight, the hour when silence feels heavier and the dark seems to press in against the windows. I was sitting in my living room, scrolling through my phone, half asleep, when I heard it. A crunch. Not the kind a house makes when it settles, but the sound of weight, footsteps on gravel. At first, I thought it was my imagination, maybe a cat, maybe the wind. But then it came again. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Slow, steady, deliberate. I froze. My house sits on a long, narrow driveway, surrounded by trees. No one just walks by here. Whoever it was had to have come all the way down from the road, straight toward my house. I turned off the TV. The sudden silence made everything louder. The hum of the fridge, the ticking clock, and those faint, steady footsteps outside. They stopped. I waited, heart hammering. Then came a soft tap against the living room window. Just one. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. I sat there, staring at the curtain, every instinct in my body screaming not to look. Then another tap. Louder this time. I forced myself up, every step toward the window, feeling like it took a lifetime. The curtain was thin. I could see the faint shape of something just on the other side, the way the light from the lamp inside made the shadow of a shoulder, a head. Someone was standing there. "Hello?" I whispered, though my throat was dry and the word barely came out. The shadow didn't move. I took another step closer. My hand hovered over the curtain, and before I could pull it back, the shadow moved fast. It leaned closer. That was enough. I jumped back, heart pounding, stumbling over the coffee table. The lamp fell, the light went out, and suddenly the room was pitch black. I could hear my own breathing, quick, panicked. Then came the sound of the back steps creaking. Whoever it was, they were moving around the house. I grabbed my phone from the couch, but my hands were shaking so bad I nearly dropped it. I turned on the flashlight and pointed it toward the back of the house. The light bounced off the walls, the photos, the empty hallway, but not the window. When I finally got the courage to peek through the kitchen blinds, there was no one there, just the empty yard. And then a face appeared, right there, inches away, pressed against the glass, pale skin, wide, glassy eyes staring straight into mine. I screamed and dropped the phone. When I looked back, the face was gone. I ran into my bedroom, slammed the door, locked it, and hid in the corner with my phone clutched in my hand. I dialed the police, but the signal was weak out here. I could barely hear the operator through the static, and then from outside the room, footsteps on the wooden floor. They were slow, careful. Whoever it was inside now. I held my breath, every muscle frozen. The steps came closer to my door, then stopped. A few seconds of silence, then the faint sound of fingers dragging down the wood. Slow, scratching. I texted my neighbor, begging for help, but no reply. When the police finally showed up, the house was empty. The back door was wide open. The lock had been broken from the inside. They searched the yard, the woods, everything. Nothing. No footprints, no signs of forced entry. Just one thing. A single smudged handprint on the living room window. The next night, I tried to sleep with every light on. Around midnight, I woke to the same sound. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Someone was walking up the driveway again.